So I was on the internet yesterday, and on my feed, a girl popped up talking about how you shouldn't be wearing Crocs because of the PFAs and because it's made of plastic. And according to Chinese medicine, you have these energy points in your foot, multiple energy points, and your feet absorb everything that it touches. And I have been wearing Crocs for a few years now, and they're my daily shoes. And I thought, okay, at the time when I first started wearing them, I thought these are a great pair of shoes because they fit my wide feet. They don't squeeze my toes, and they're good for filtering out air, not filtering, but airflow, so that my feet don't get sweaty. But yesterday when I saw that video, I immediately felt this feeling in my body. Yeah, she's right. Whether I wanted to acknowledge it or not in the past, when I saw that video calling me out, I immediately thought, yeah, she's right. And now I need to find a new pair of daily shoes. That's not a problem to me. But what I'm trying to highlight is that I have a very short time period between when I find out something to be right and when I readjust my life based on the information that I now have. So now that I know it's fully concrete, it's not just something that I thought up on my own or that I researched on my own. Someone told it to me, and when someone tells you something and calls you out, it hits harder than if you were to do the research on your own. Now that I have that information, I am using that to readjust my life immediately. I'm limiting the time that it takes to readjust, because if you're not readjusting yourself after finding something out, after getting more information on something, you're limiting your capacity to be the best version of yourself. And you may think, oh, but it's just Crocs, it doesn't matter, whatever. But little things like this add up, and it affects your daily life. It affects how you function. And if I'm able to readjust myself on something as small as Crocs, then that's going to be perfect practice for when I need to readjust myself for much bigger things in life. Things that will alter the entire course of my life. So when you are on the internet, you're scrolling or you're doing whatever you want to do, and you see something and you feel called out by it, and you know it's right, you know what they're saying is right, don't neglect that. Automatically and immediately, in that moment, figure out how you're going to readjust yourself based on what you now know. That can also include when you're on your fitness journey, when you're, whatever goal you have, when you find out something new and you realize, oh, I've been making a mistake. It's not a mistake, but now you need to readjust yourself based on what you know, because once you find something out and you're still choosing the old way, that's going down the wrong path. That's neglecting yourself. That's disrespecting yourself because you know better, but you're not doing better. Because you have the information, but you're not doing anything with it. It's a different story when you didn't know any better. But when you do know better and you're not choosing differently, you're sabotaging yourself. And think about it. Is it worth it to sabotage yourself? Is it worth it to put things off? I want you to really, really introspect on that. Is it worth it? Think about all the goals you have in life. Think about the person that you want to become. Is it worth sacrificing that version of yourself so that you can live in comfort now and not have to deal with these things? Not have to deal with taking accountability for yourself? Because sure, technically speaking, over time, we could all figure these things out on our own. But because of the internet and because of the amount of information that is out there, we get called out. We get information handed to us, basically. And so what would have taken you maybe years to understand, someone is telling you right then and there. And for you to have the discernment to know that it is right, that it's true, that what they're saying is true in regards to your situation and your circumstances, what other choice do you have than to do better and to use that information to readjust yourself? For you to have the discernment to know that what they're saying is true, you're already close to getting to the best version of yourself. Because imagine if you were unaware. You're down here, right? Being unaware isn't a problem, but it's just there are different levels to this. And you're at a way closer level to the highest version of yourself when you are simply able to discern, okay, is this true? Is this not true? In correspondence to who I want to become. Because everyone has their own truths that they live by, that they apply to the highest version of themselves. Some people can be vegan. That's how they function. Some people can be carnivore. That's how they function. Some people can be carnivore, but they're meant to be vegan. Some people can be vegan, but they're meant to be carnivore. It has nothing to do with values, or not values, but it's not political. But it's just a matter of what is the best way of living for you, for the highest version of yourself, to access the highest version of yourself. Some people really struggle being vegan, and they're unaware of it for years until they gain the discernment and realize, oh, I meant to do something different. And then the opposite can happen. It's not just one way or another. It can go both ways. So when you're able to discern, when you have that feeling, oh, what they're saying is right, and whether that's you feeling this sense of not guilt, but darn, it's not a bad feeling, but it's like, yeah, you're right. Or you could feel this guilt or this shame, like, yeah. I don't know how to explain it properly, but there's a negative and a positive way to react to the information you just gained. And if it's positive, then okay, readjust yourself. If it's negative, then it's probably because you've heard this before. You've heard it multiple times. And because you had this feeling deep down in your gut, you knew that that was the truth. You just didn't do anything about it. And that's okay. I'm not going to say things take time, but they take growth, really. They take a version of you that is able to have the capacity to implement these changes into your life, because sometimes you don't have the capacity to do so, and that's the truth, because you have these unhealed wounds, because you have things that you're attached to, because you have things that you're holding on to that you need to release. You can't take it with you to the next chapter. You can't take it with you to the next version of you. And then you have to do certain things. You have to expand your capacity to withstand certain struggles and to be able to implement these things, because I couldn't implement so many good productive habits into my life until I had the capacity to, and until I released these wounds that I was attached to, and that were keeping me from changing. Because, for example, I'm sweating so much. Oh my gosh. I have the AC off because I have an old car. Oh my gosh. Let's take a break for a second. I have an old car and the AC is really loud, so I didn't want to turn it on for this video, but I'm actually drenched. I don't know if you can see. Well, you can see my arm hair, but so for example, I a few years ago, I really wanted to get in the best shape of my life. I wanted that muscular physique that was trending on the internet, not because it was trending, but because I wanted to feel strong. I wanted to achieve that look and the feeling that came with it. But in order to do that, I had to lose fat. I had the muscle, but I had to lean out a little bit. And when you try to achieve goals, the reason that you fail is because you are attached to something that you need to work through and heal from. You have these blockages. It's not because you're not meant to achieve the goal. It's because something is keeping you from achieving the goal. And it's actually an opportunity for you to grow. Because now you know, oh, this is the pattern that's keeping me stuck, and I didn't even know. So my pattern, my struggle was I had an attachment to food, and it was a generational thing. I got it from my dad. My dad had the same attachment, and growing up, I would watch him. Obviously, I developed the same pattern. I did emotional eating, stress eating, anxiety eating to distract myself. And then I had this disordered eating where I would binge and then binge restrict cycle. I had bulimia, stuff like this. I don't like to put labels, but according to what I was going through, those are the things that I was struggling with. And you can't just heal that by changing your habits. It's not that simple. You have to get to the root of the pattern, of the wound, and resolve that, basically. And so it took a couple of years to get through that. I was going through the same cycle on repeat, dealing with the same struggles, never able to fulfill my goal. And I'm not sure how to fully explain it, but at one point I had finally finished healing through that wound. It took a lot of journaling. It took a lot of crying. It took a lot of overeating to the point where I feel sick, and then crying about it, and then journaling about it and being mad at myself. Because for something to develop so strongly throughout your childhood, it's going to take a little bit of effort, not time necessarily, but time not in the sense of worldly time, but energetically. Like, it takes time to energetically shed that attachment and release it fully. And things sometimes just don't click until they're meant to. It's divine timing. And another example is when I was overthinking to a point of literally paralyzing myself. I couldn't make any decision. I was so in my head. I had panic attacks. I had anxiety attacks. I was overly reliant on the people in my lives to distract myself and to make a decision for me and to make me feel okay. What I did, this didn't take much time because I went head on. Like, I jumped in the water. I threw myself into the water. I went from rotting at home in my room, never leaving for months, like at least 6 months, not really leaving. And if I was leaving, it was with someone else. It was never really alone. And if it was alone, I wasn't talking to anyone. And I jumped in the water. Like, I packed my bags and I left. And I didn't plan on coming back. Obviously, I came back. But going into it, I didn't plan on coming back. So I packed 2 suitcases of all my stuff. And I wasn't even thinking. I wasn't even able to think. I literally was paralyzed mentally. I couldn't think of what to do. So I just took everything with me. I took everything into 2 big suitcases. everything I owned. And obviously, a month before, I had spent time decreasing the amount of stuff that I had. I donated stuff. I donated a lot of stuff. And I went to Japan. I left. I dipped. And I thought, okay, I'm not coming back. I can't think about too many variables right now, so I'm planning on not coming back. I'm not coming back. I need to figure it out. I just need to figure it out over there. I'm not coming back here. And I spent a month in Japan, and then I spent a couple weeks in Thailand. And during that time, you wouldn't believe the amount of overthinking and stress and emotional struggle that I went through, to a point where I was really reaching my limit. Like, a lot of times I thought, I need to go back, but I didn't go back. I didn't break. I didn't crack. I stayed strong, and I powered through. And I thought, okay, well, I at least need to leave Japan. After this month, I need to leave Japan. After the month ended, I can't be in Japan anymore. So I booked a flight literally 2 days later to go to Thailand. That had me in panic mode. Panic. Overthinking, it was crazy. To a point of literally feeling paralyzed. Like, the level of anxiety and negative emotions running through my body was genuinely so concerning that I think if psychologists did a study on me, they would make a new mental illness of overthinking. And then I went to Thailand, and boom! I did it! Like, for the first time in my life, I went from one country to another that didn't include the US, my home country. I went from Japan to Thailand. There were no Americans on those flights. And it was scary. It was scary when I was doing it, and I was overthinking a lot on the flight. But once I got there, oh my gosh, the overthinking ended. You have to make such big decisions. Well, not necessarily. You can make small. I think I really pushed myself in the water there. I definitely could have gone slower, but I just wanted to get it over with. I didn't want to keep struggling anymore. So I did that. And then I spent a couple weeks in Thailand to relax. And then I came home because I realized, okay, I'm running from myself in a way. I'm running from facing myself. Not myself, but when I'm at home, there's enough familiarity that I feel stagnant if I'm not pursuing my goals. When I'm in another country, I'm distracted enough to not really focus on anything. So I came back home because I thought, okay, if I want to achieve these goals, I'm not going to achieve them in another country. Clearly, it's been 2 months and I haven't achieved anything other than releasing the overthinking. But goals, like physical world goals, like having a career and having my dream body and stuff like that. Things that require building. Physical world building, not necessarily energetic, spiritual releasing. Yes, it goes hand in hand, but the overthinking thing was more so a healing from and releasing a way of believing things. And so the only way to fix that was to completely change my life. Sorry, the video cut off because my phone overheated. But what I was saying, basically the point is, in order for me to have powered through the overthinking and completely released it, I had to do something where I was completely breaking that pattern, completely killing that version of me. And I did something really big, and some people need to take it slower and it takes more time, and that's okay. You can take smaller steps. I'm not that kind of person. I have to go big or go home. Just get it over with. Yes, I was struggling way more than necessary, I guess. I could have done it in a much more consistent and slower pace, but I just decided to do it head on. I wanted to get it over with. And I also learned something along the way. I learned that it's literally anything is my choice. Like, this is my life. This is my life. And nobody, no environment, nothing will change if I do not change. My goals will not achieve themselves. It doesn't matter where I am. If I'm not going to do something, it's not going to get done. I have to do it regardless. I have to have discipline. And so I changed my mindset, and I came home and I decided, okay, I'm going to achieve these goals now, because clearly being in Thailand isn't going to magically solve all my problems and make me achieve goals. But let's get back to the point of the video, is that, oh my God, I'm sweating like crazy, and my hair is frizzy. The point is, when you know something is true, I go really off track when I'm making these videos, but when you know something is true, spend as little time as possible between the moment you find out and the moment you readjust yourself. You will achieve a higher version of yourself so much quicker that way, and it will be much more efficient, because you're not gaining guilt or shame along the way because you're putting things off. You might as well change right then and there. And if you feel like you can't, it's because you have these attachments that you need to release. And there you go. You have an opportunity to release them just by being aware of that. And there you go. That's the secret sauce. Okay, thanks. Have a nice day. I don't want my phone to overheat again.